Welcome, Dolphins fans, haters, and everyone in between to your favorite show discussing the greatest franchise in sports, the Miami Dolphins. This is the PhinsPod. My name is Moose, your host, and we had football Thursday night kicking off the NFL season. At least, I think that was football. We'll talk about why the Hall of Fame game is just horrible to watch, but honestly, still valuable nonetheless. And turning to our Fins, we actually got some great news on the injury front, and we're going to talk about the depth along the defensive line and why perhaps this season we may not need to rely on our secondary nearly as much. It's a bold claim, but let's get into the nitty-gritty and let's dive in.
Well, you know, I've been critical of Tua. I didn't know if he'd be good enough in this league to be able to stand back in the pocket and make the throws. And I thought he had a really good day today. He made some really nice throws on time, in rhythm, which he didn't do a lot of last year. And they're really making an emphasis on driving the ball down the field. He has a lot of speed outside in his passing game. They want him to throw the ball down the field, and he's doing a better job with that. Now, having said that, late in the practice, he made a terrible throw that Javon Holland, the rookie safety, picked off. And those are the little things he has to work through and get better at. But he's improved. I don't know how far he's improved. We won't know until games are actually played. But he looks more confident. He looks more comfortable in the pocket.
Look, I get it. What we saw Thursday night was trash. I bet a lot of you didn't even bother turning it on. And to be honest, you didn't miss anything. The Cowboys just reminded the world that the hype that they build each offseason is a waste of everyone's time. And honestly, the Steelers look like they're going to be leaning on the running game a lot this season. And Najee Harris showed a few flashes. But there is value in these preseason games. Not really for us fans if you're just watching it for viewing pleasure, but there is value for those teams. So if you care about the teams, then there's value for you too. And as much as we hate the preseason, it does allow NFL teams to actually get an evaluation of their roster and their scheme. Obviously, we know to a seasoned veteran, you really just need a few reps and to get the flow and get ready for the season. Not to mention there's a huge risk of getting injured, which derails not only the player's potential career, but also that season for the club. And the risk is just not really worth it for a seasoned and established vet. But for those trying to climb the depth chart or make the roster as is, these games provide an awesome opportunity. And a lot of the guys like in the trenches, guys like Larnell Coleman from UMass, Cameron Tom at center, Jalen Askew, Terrell Bonds in the defensive secondary. There's guys like this all over the roster looking to claim a spot. Plus, it gives other types of guys who actually need to show some growth, a way to actually earn that trust from the coaching staff and be like, hey, look, I'm better. For example, Noah Igbenogany having a solid preseason, that will do wonders for him, not only for us as fans getting some comfort, like, okay, that pick wasn't a waste. Because again, look, it's year 2. He doesn't have to be shut down. He doesn't have to be, even starting caliber, but you want him to at least be a contributor to this team in his second year. He's still extremely young, so compared to some other rookies, I get it. He might need a little more time, but again, it's year 2. Let's see some growth, and the preseason is where that can happen. These exhibition matchups, it helps a coach, it helps Flores and Greer shape out the roster. It lets you see who is really just a practice star versus those who actually have game. And earlier, I said the preseason can help coaches determine schemes, right? Not only are guys getting ready in terms of getting ready physically to play the season, but coaches call plays to help see what alignments suit the roster best. And that's new every single year. There's new guys, new chemistry, new relationships, new ways, and new skill sets, and new ways to attack a defense. So what specific play calls are best suited to that talent on the field? That's a work in progress. And at the start in the preseason, look, it's going to be vanilla. What we're going to see is going to be vanilla, but you're going to see glimpses of the type of offensive attack. So expect to see a crossing route with Jalen Waddle or Albert Wilson 10 to 15 yards over the middle of the field when Miami plays Chicago. Something like that. Or honestly, an RPO between Tua and Myles Gaskin. Something where Tua has the option, hand off, take it himself, or throw it. But Tua, I swear to God, if you take it yourself in the preseason, I will come down and hurt you myself. And the coaches will look to see, honestly, during these games, how well the guys are executing. Using that film then, they can go back and then make necessary changes. Prior to the season, they got a month of preseason, and then they can make adjustments, see what they need to emphasize in the film room as well as on the practice field to improve the team. And considering the lack of prep and contact that has honestly entered this game, less padded practices, no more two-a-days, All for honestly good reasons, in my opinion, but nonetheless, the reduction in contact, it does make it harder for guys to jump right into the season at their A game, playing their best, making every tackle, being there mentally and physically. It's going to take a little bit longer when you're not practicing at that level. So making sure everyone on your roster is at least on the same page mentally in terms of their understanding of the game plan, of their defense, of their offense, that's going to allow for the rust to shake off way quicker. And honestly, for you to get a better start come September and the start of your season. So Coach Flores is going to analyze his team's performance each week, looking at how his defense looks, how the offense looks, and who's executing their assignments at the highest level. Because look, a guy can jump. We're seeing it right now. Reports are Solomon Kindley is not looking good. Even though he was a starter last year, he might not even make the team. I don't think it's going to be that drastic, but he very well may not be a starter after all of us projected, including myself, projected him to. Something occurred. Who knows? He took a step back. Maybe he didn't put the work in the offseason. Maybe this new offense isn't suited to his skill set, which is honestly potentially a possibility considering it's a run-first. It's not a run-first offense, while last year it kind of was. So if Solomon Kindley struggles in pass protection, that's going to hurt his chances, and that's going to impact his ability to make a spot on this team. So look, we got to sit tight. I know it's a month until we actually get to the real deal, but there's a lot of questions that still need to be answered, and you get those answered by playing in the preseason and seeing who has game. And again, we're going to be able to see our guys suit up really soon, see the Dolphins guys go out and play, actually see what all of our hopes and dreams, Jalen Waddle, Tua throwing to Jalen Waddle, that's going to happen in a week. And even if it fails miserably down the line, I know I'm freaking amped right now. So who cares? Moving on to the defensive line, I'm going to be honest, this front looks the best it has in years. The young depth that we had a season ago, well, that young depth has grown into contributing playmakers. I'm talking Zach Sieler, Christian Wilkins, Raekwon Davis, Adam Butler, and even guys like John Jenkins and Benito Jones who are fighting to likely make just one spot on the roster. Now, we're going to look at these guys' strengths overall on the defensive line and when we can expect them on the field and which situations they're likely going to be put into. So, starting with Zach Sieler. If you remember, we poached Sieler off the Ravens practice squad during the 2019 season in Flores' rookie year. And honestly, what a poach it was. He flashed that season, even sacking Tom Brady, but he was still kind of an unknown. Then you got last year where he not only earned a contract extension, but showed what he's capable of. In my opinion, Sieler is the most versatile of all. Not the best, but the most versatile of all Miami's defensive linemen. Some could argue, and it's a fair argument, for Christian Wilkins. As an athlete, I mean, he's probably the best athlete there is. But in terms of Sieler, I just think he has shown to be a bit better against the run than Christian Wilkins. And they're kind of equal in the pass. They both kind of apply the same amount of pressure. I think they've had roughly the same amount of sacks. If not, Sieler's done a little bit better. So I think Sieler has shown that he's a stout guy against the run and good against the pass. But look, Christian Wilkins has improved from his rookie year to his second year, and he's likely going to be better this season on that front. But he can be pushed around a bit when facing double teams, allowing for holes to open up in the run game. Not too, it's not like he's a liability out there, but it did happen more than you'd like to see. And that was much rarer with Sieler in the game. He's just stout, and he clogs up the lane. Hard to move. It's exactly what you want your defensive tackles to do. His strength is apparent. Just his raw upper body strength, his overall core, the way he just you can't move him. I mean, if you watch him in games, he is hard to move, even against double teams. And it's apparent from the way that he's controlling opposing guards and tackles. He grabs their pads. They're not controlling him. He's got all the moves. Plus, he can be pushed out to the end position as well. He doesn't have any bend, right? He's not going to be rushing and getting you 7 to 10 sacks, but he can definitely bull rush with the best of them. So I love his game, the way he plays, specifically that position, and I think he fits this defense extremely well. Next, the first ever selection of the Chris Grier and Brian Flores era, the aforementioned Christian Wilkins. Wilkins is a superb athlete, as we said, at the defensive tackle too. His motor as well, just his energy, the way he approaches the game, and nonstop, as hard as he goes, play in, play out, that's next to none. And again, we touched on his athleticism, but it makes him pretty disruptive once he's actually able to get past the offensive line. When he's in the backfield, he's making your quarterback run around, or he's getting him. It's just about getting past the line. Again, he just needs to be more consistent and not be moved off the line and blown up in double teams nearly as often. And he wasn't a liability, like I said, but there's always room for improvement, and I think we're going to see some of that growth. His ceiling in terms of what he can become, it's higher than Zach Sieler for sure, but he still needs to hit it. He needs to show that he can actually play at that level, game in, game out, play in, play out. We see moments he makes big plays, but then he kind of disappears a bit, and we're getting carved up in the run game. So, again, we'll see what we get from Wilkins, but I'm still optimistic. He does have, again, as we discussed with Tua, the intangibles. Christian Wilkins got all the intangibles in the world. Next is perhaps the most exciting guy along the defensive line, and that is last season's second-round pick, Raekwon Davis. And Davis was never a question regarding physical tools. Nah, it's pretty clear he has it all. What concerned people coming out was his mental. Similar to how Christian Barmore fell for the Pats this season, also from Bama, the case was similar for Raekwon Davis. However, Raekwon has proven to be nothing but professional, working on his game and getting better and better. Completely fine in interviews. Honestly, if none of us knew about the previous worries about Raekwon Davis and his work ethic and stuff, I would be like, oh, this guy's probably a first-round pick. He's really good. Oh, why did we get him in the second round? Damn, this has turned out to potentially be a steal, right? Raekwon has honestly, again, if we remember back to the Brian Flores' iconic reaction when he was selected, we can see why. Because he is huge. 6'7", 330 pounds. And that size, it translates to raw strength. He is tough to move off the line, and he's usually too much to handle in just one-on-one situations. So in year 2, I personally expect a huge jump from the Bama product. The reason is because he showed improvement with his hand placement and ability to shed blocks. At the start, if you go back to earlier games, obviously he was a rookie, he was learning, things were moving really fast. But as he got more and more comfortable, he became more and more disruptive. He was able to, honestly, in one-on-one situations, either collapse the pocket, shed the block, stuff a run. He was doing great as the season progressed. It's unfortunate the rest of the defense couldn't hold on in week 17. But if Raekwon Davis becomes the type of guy that you have to double team, that's going to create so many more opportunities for this defense as a whole to apply pressure and create confusing blitz packages. He's also a great athlete despite being 6'7", 330 pounds. So he can also line up further down the defensive line. But honestly, I don't think he's ever going to really be like defensive end, or you don't ideally want him to be playing that spot. You want him mostly either up on a center or on the guard, destroying the inside of the pocket. The best part is, for this defense to be good this season, we don't even need Raekwon Davis to be like amazing. Just do your job. But in terms of what he can be, he could be a top 5 defensive tackle in this league very, very soon. Another guy who I'm excited to have added is Adam Butler from the New England Patriots. And I've said this before, but I think we upgraded from Devon Godchow. And to be fair to Devon, he's a superb run-defending defensive tackle. We 100% missed him last year down the stretch. However, he did not create much push and infiltration. And that inability to collapse the pocket, it was a problem. Adam Butler, who we signed, again, at half the cost, is a penetrator. He's athletic for his size, and I think, honestly, he's going to be a good addition to this defense. He can also line up further outside and rush the passer, similar to Zach Sieler and Christian Wilkins. Again, he's going to have support from Emmanuel Ogbah or Jalen Phillips. You don't want Adam Butler actually setting the edge for you. But in terms of, when you have support, he can definitely be, lined up, head up on a tackle. And a general theme that we're seeing here from these defensive linemen, as we've gone through Zach Sieler, Christian Wilkins, Raekwon Davis, and now Adam Butler, versatility. The guys who have been brought in and developed by Flores and Josh Boyer, guys who were brought in for a while ago now, 2 years, and have been developing, they can do multiple things and be put in multiple places, which feeds into what this defense's philosophy is, and that lets you be dynamic with your disguises and your blitz packages. Come at them from all angles. You can have Adam Butler play head up on the center, or he's head up on a tackle. You have Raekwon Davis everywhere on the line, and then you got Jalen Phillips standing, in between the guard and the center. You're confusing the crap out of opposing offenses when you have guys that you can put as chess pieces anywhere. And the fact that, again, Miami really only has a few of those old school classic nose tackle types like Benito Jones, a stout guy who can plug up a gap with ease, John Jenkins, a vet who's also proven to do the same. And again, they've also added undrafted free agent Jerome Johnson, who's, again, more classic zero technique style defensive tackle, less versatile along the line. There is room for them in this defense. You do need guys like that. Miami wants to have speed, but you always need beef. This is football at the end of the day. So if you have to stop the run, short yardage or goal line situations as well, you need big boys who can actually act as immovable objects so your linebackers can come up and stop the play. However, the team's likely only going to carry one or two of these, stout defensive tackles, zero technique. So it's going to be interesting to see who makes plays in the preseason and earns that spot. Now, when thinking about some of the Dolphins' defensive alignments, who can we actually expect to see on the field and when? So obviously, we're probably going to get a combo of pretty much everybody because injuries are a thing and game plans are going to differ week to week. But generally, I believe the starting defensive tackles are going to be Zach Sieler and Raekwon Davis. However, Miami runs plenty of these 5-2 alignments with 4 down linemen and 1 edge defender, and then you got those linebackers in the back and then the field flooded with defensive backs. So I think the base defense is going to have Zach Sieler, Raekwon Davis, and Christian Wilkins along the line with either Emmanuel Ogbah, Jalen Phillips, Van Ginkel, or Beagle playing strong side backer. Jerome Baker manning the linebacker spot from the middle of the field, and then, of course, Bernardrick McKinney coming in on more run-heavy downs. And then you're going to have, like I said, that field flooded with defensive backs walking around, trying to confuse their coverage, and just be, honestly, chaotic. So with so many reps going to defensive tackles, because there's probably going to be 3 of them on the field at all times, you want to have plenty of guys to run in and out. It's paramount. So the depth that we've just spoken about, it's a really good thing. So let's do a little ceiling floor for each of these guys. What can they be this season, and what, worst case will they be? So Christian Wilkins, I think if he takes a big step, he can probably be a top 15 defensive tackle this season. And you would hope that would mean 5 sacks, maybe a few more, and obviously a contributor to a improved run defense. Zach Sieler, I think he's in a similar boat. This could be the season where he's going to earn some national respect. Considering how he's performed, you would think that people would know him, but he's kind of an unknown, and that can change with a solid 2021 season. He definitely deserves more notoriety. Like Wilkins, you want to see 5 sacks and him be stout in the run game. Adam Butler is kind of a wild card to me. As much as I like him and kind of talked him up, I do wonder why New England, who runs the exact same scheme, favored a guy like Godchow so much when they could have kept their own guy in Butler at half the cost. Is there something you're not telling us, Belichick, or is this just my trauma speaking? But hey, look, Butler could be right there with the aforementioned guys, or he could just be a depth guy. Time's going to tell. Now, moving on to Raekwon Davis. The ceiling, as we've talked about, man, the ceiling is that he becomes a huge key to the defensive game plan. His ability to collapse the pocket, or his potential ability to do that, it's going to help the ends and the linebackers as well as the secondary. I feel like he can make a genuine impact for this defense if things click in year 2. And if the secondary is playing at a high level and we start getting an actual pass rush, teams are going to be, it's tough sledding, maybe 17 points a game if you're lucky. And then you're just asking Tua in the offense to put up 20, 24 to win. Like last year, we won 10 games that way. If the defense takes a minor step back and the offense takes a big step forward, I still think we're primed to win a lot of games. But moving back to Raekwon Davis, his floor, like every player's floor, is he regresses, right? I don't really see that happening considering what he showed last year and combined with those physical tools, but regression is a reality in this game. And lastly, we're going to talk about some good news on the injury front. After being put on the reserve list due to those protocols, Ethan Carter, tight end, Adam Shaheen, and Preston Williams came off the list. Mike Gesicki remains, but again, it's all precaution and just to be safe. So although Ethan Carter and Shaheen are good to practice, Preston is still on the PUP. So not great news. That Liz Frank injury is no joke. So I'm hoping that he can get back in time to shake some rust off. Unfortunately, with the return of a few tight ends, the Dolphins got rid of all of our friends who were signed just days ago. Sal Cannella, Khalif Jackson, and Gabe Holmes. We barely knew thee. Good luck to them on their journeys, obviously. Sorry that the Dolphins abused you and literally used you as camp bodies in the most literal sense. Like the moment they got those guys back, they dumped these guys. They were signed right after they were put on the list. 3 days later, goodbye. Sorry you thought you were moving your life. And look, it just shows you how ruthless this league really is and how for as much as Flores preaches caring for his guys, he's going to do what's best for the team at a cutthroat level. And whatever you feel about that, I'm not trying to be like that's a bad thing. Whatever you feel about that, being cutthroat is actually what it does take to win at this level in the NFL. You got cheaters like Belichick. You got to be going hard. It's a violent and physical sport too, so you need guys who can take all the punches and keep hitting. And if those guys are given an opportunity and seize it, then they're going to be just fine in the NFL. Look, maybe we'll see Sal Cannella scoring touchdowns for the Cardinals one day. Who knows? How excited, though, in general, are you that football is fucking back? Let us know in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube, or tweet at us at PhinsPod. I love talking to listeners, so feel free to shoot me a message. And again, thank you guys so much. We appreciate all you who listen. It does mean a ton to me that we can all get together and talk Dolphins. In this crazy, crazy world, one thing always stays the same. It's our passion for this team, and honestly, whatever they give us and are capable of giving us in return, let's get it, man. I can't wait for this season.
It's all on Tua. If Tua takes the proper steps forward and can become a 4,000-yard passer and throw 28 touchdown passes, then the Dolphins have a legitimate chance to be a playoff team. If he doesn't take the necessary steps, I think that they're going to be struggling, and I think there's going to be some real questions about whether they picked the right quarterback. So it's all about Tua. If he plays well, they win. If he doesn't, they might be looking for another quarterback next year.
That's going to do it for us here today. Thank you guys so much for listening to the PhinsPod. Hope you enjoyed it, and that you enjoy this weekend if you're listening on Friday or Saturday. If it's Sunday, I'm so sorry. Those Sunday scaries must be hitting. But hey, have a good week. But thank you again, as always, to Timothy Ritchie, member of the pod and supporter of the show over on Patreon. Check that out. Links in the description, or head to patreon.com/PhinsPod. Thank you all again so much for the continued support. Please remember to like the video if you enjoyed the show, leave a rating on Apple Podcasts, or follow us on Spotify. And please subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube, just to never miss a chance to chat about your Miami Dolphins. Remember that the PhinsPod's available on all platforms: Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, and of course here on YouTube. Continue the conversation with us over on Twitter and Instagram at PhinsPod. I hope you all have an amazing day, and until next time, stay safe. Love y'all.